Fiverr Friday. It is Friday, September 2nd, and welcome to A VO's Journey. My name is Anthony Pica. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. It is Fiverr Friday. I got a coffee mug. We were talking yesterday about getting on Coffee Talk, getting some coffee mugs with a VO's Journey on it. I did have this one. Now, I didn't have them made up. It was a subscriber, I think somebody from a VO's Journey Elite Academy, who had made these mugs and sent it over to me. or one for it, just made one, and I absolutely love it. So that's my Fiverr Friday mug. I used to have a Fiverr Friday hat, but it was literally a hat that I had put tape on that said Fiverr Friday. I need some Fiverr Friday gear. So you need like gear. I need Coffee Talk gear. I need Fiverr Friday gear. I need a VO's Journey Elite Academy gear. We need the gear. We need the merch. Got to start figuring out how to get the merch. Anyways, welcome to Fiverr Friday. It's good to have you. If this is your first time here, make sure you put your name. Even if it's not your first time here, put your name in the chat, where you're from. And today on Fiverr Friday, what we do is, I have some thoughts and everything that I talk about. And then if you have any questions about Fiverr, comments, about your Fiverr account or voiceover in general, you go ahead and post them in the chat and we discuss and I answer your questions and we have a good old time. All right. So with that being said, today's title and my thoughts are really centered around, what do you do, I think, when your Fiverr account tanks? So I put up I was a very, it was tough. My podcast I did yesterday, I put up a podcast yesterday about what's going on with my Fiverr account right now. And, I think, no matter where you are in your journey, you're going to have ups and downs. You know what I mean? And you're going to, sometimes your Fiverr account's going to be up. Sometimes it's going to be down. Sometimes it's going to be getting lots of work, lots of impressions, lots of clicks. Sometimes you may make a few mistakes or something might happen, or you might get an unruly customer, a client, and then it goes down. So let me move over here. Sorry about the stuff in the back, by the way, too. There, I'm moving things around, and I got to get I need a bookshelf in here, and stuff, because I've got lots of books and lots of things, and that I had in my previous space because it was a bigger room. But this one, I built this room specifically for my studio. You know what I mean? It's just for the studio, so it's the editing station, everything out here, and then in there, and there is my recording booth. But there's more space in there too. There's more space in there, because that's about half of the room. It's a little less than half. It's about 5 feet, where this is about 6 feet wide here, or so, 6 to 8 feet. And then there's about 5 feet, but it's 10 feet from one end to the other. So there's enough space in there as well in my booth to put like a chair in there and to put like a bookshelf and things in there too. But anyway, so sorry about the mess back there. But anyways, I wanted to, again, talk today about, your Fiverr account and what to do when your stats and things are not doing well. So first and foremost, so you only have control over a few things on Fiverr. Okay. First and foremost, you only have control, really, really control over your title, your tags, your description, everything that you can fill out. That's really all you have control over. You don't have control over the algorithm. You don't have control over whether you get more impressions, more clicks. Physical control. Now, later on, you will have control over your, the percentage in your stats and some things, like your response time. You know what I mean? I mean, clearly that's in your control, but if someone messages you at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning and you're sleeping, you're not going to respond in an hour, right? So you might get dinged on that and be 2 or 3 hour response time, which can end up hurting you a little bit. So there's that. Then you also have things like your delivery time. Now, you do control that. When someone orders from you, you deliver it on time. If you don't deliver it on time, if it's late, you get something that you get kind of, I call it being dinged, but basically your stats in your account go down, and that plays into the algorithm, whether you're seen more or not. Now, the reason why I say you can't affect, that's not something you can generally affect at first, because you have to get a job in order to affect that. So if you're just starting, you don't have work yet, all you can affect is those other things that I just mentioned, the things that you can fill out. But when you are getting work, you can affect those things. And, today kind of I want to have a conversation about what do you do when you actually, let's say you go on vacation, or let's say you miss a delivery, it's late, or let's say that, you had some problems with a client and they filled out a bad review, or they went, and also, which you can't tell this because Fiverr doesn't release this information, but just so you know, every single job you do, Fiverr sends a secondary survey to them. So when you do a job and you deliver it, the client fills out a review. Okay. And then they write down with a review, and then you reply to that review and leave your review. Okay. But Fiverr then secretly, I say secretly because they don't show us this information, they then secretly send the clients a survey. Okay. Every single job, every single client that buys something through Fiverr gets one of these surveys. And if they buy multiple things, they still get them. Every job that you do, the client gets a survey. That survey, they call it customer satisfaction. And in that survey, okay, the customer fills out, a couple questions about how you did, how they thought you did, did they like the service, did they not like the service, they rate you and things like this. So Fiverr then takes that information, and that plays a really massive role. It's grown exponentially. It didn't used to play so much of a major role. They didn't even used to have it years ago, but now it plays a major role in your rankings, and also things like, for example, whether you can promote your gigs, whether you can be a part of the gig promoted program, and the Seller Plus program, and all these different programs. They base a lot of this on customer satisfaction through these surveys. Now, on the reality of this, in some senses, though, if you think about it, if you only have a couple of jobs and one of them is, not happy for whatever reason, it might be your fault, or it might not be your fault. We know there's a lot of things that we've not done wrong that the customer just is not happy, right? But if it's a couple of them and they give a bad review, then you're going to have a poor average. Whereas someone who has, who's getting like 50 to 100 reviews a month, jobs a month, one of those is not going to, like, one poor, satisfaction review is not going to hurt you as much except when you have lower stats. And this is something that, and I hope now, and this is the problem, I don't know, right? If I was Fiverr, I would have that built into to that measurement, right? Like, to offset the fact that, if you're starting out, you are going to be put at a disadvantage to people who are doing lots and lots of voiceovers who have the benefit of averages. Okay. But if you don't have that benefit, it's so much more difficult. And so in turn, I do feel like you might be, you can be taken advantage of a lot easier. Now, then we have to also look at, is that Fiverr's goal, right? Is Fiverr's goal to make it so that the new people, the new sellers coming in, right, are taken care of? Or do they, maybe they don't care as much, right? I don't know. Like I said, I think it would make sense, depending on, and you could depend on your ranking and things like that too, whether you're a top rated seller, level 1 or level 2 or whatever, just starting, but also how many orders you get, right? Because if you only get a few orders, to give that the same weight as someone who has 100 or 200 orders a month, you're talking quite a bit of a difference for those people who are getting way more orders. but then again, like I said, that's up to what Fiverr's goal is, right? Because if Fiverr's goal is not. So, anyways, the point I'm going with this is that you being aware of this is really important because if your goal, right, is to try to move up the rankings, make more money on Fiverr, which we're all trying to do, we have to be aware of these things, especially when you're just starting out and you're debating whether or not you do that job that someone is, asking you to do for less money, or they've hired you and, they're being not so nice to you. And, you've determined whether or not you're going to fight back with them or not. I mean, I have to tell you, sometimes it's hard because, if someone's ordered from you and you go to fight back with them, are they going to leave you a bad review? You know what I mean? And that's something so it kind of starts to limit your, I guess, your pushback, right? Now, in some senses, I think it's Fiverr's way of trying to get people to be good customer service agents, when in reality, they have a customer service, but they are not the customer service really, even though they'll claim they have a customer service, which they do. But we really are the people who are the front lines of the customer service, right? Of our job, because those people contact us, we contact them, we're working back and forth with them. So I'm telling you about this is because, even me, when I get busy, things go to the wayside. I don't deliver things on time. And that's what's happened to me recently. And my account has suffered because of it. And it's gone down. So what happens is Fiverr begins to send you messages like, make sure you're following up with customers and sending them, a message saying, make sure they fill out their post job surveys. You know what I mean? And you can tell too, the Fiverr doesn't look at, always they don't pay attention to what you're sending them all the time. Because someone like me, I send them every single job. I send a client, make sure you fill out their stuff. But I have a lot of repeat clients. So sometimes those repeat clients aren't going to fill out. They filled it out 100 times before. They're not going to keep filling it out. So I think when that happens to you and you're in a place and you want to regain things, there are things that you can do to help your account. Okay? So for starters, making your account more accessible to people. So someone like me, for example, my prices are higher than most people's on Fiverr. Okay? And right now I'm at like $60 for 100 words. So, and I'm doing 3-day delivery just because of, I'm spending a lot, which I'm absolutely in love with, is the VO's Journey Elite Academy. We're growing amazingly. We've got some very exciting news. I can't release it yet of some stuff more stuff that's happening, but just fantastic. By the way, just on a random side note, you've got to check out our academy. There's a link below that's got 50% off for the first month. We'd absolutely love to have you try us out and be there and join our community, be a part of VO's Journey Elite Academy. Besides the work we're getting, voice actors and all that stuff, we have such an amazing community and support group for you. So we'd love to have you. But anyways, I'm spending a lot of time, and rightly so, working and teaching and coaching voice actors. So my schedule has turned a lot more difficult in doing voiceovers. And, you could look at it almost as if, I've added like a job to my schedule. So going back to when I was working a full-time job and I was doing voiceover, I had to look at my schedule a lot differently. When I left my job and I went full-time, that changed again, right? Because then my full-time job at that time when I left originally was just basically doing voiceover. I had some mentor students at the time, but everything was in the evening, late at night, because I was working during the day. So I didn't have anything during the day. And I noticed that there was an immediate jump in my voiceover revenue because I was able to do more during the day and I was able to do it quicker and faster. So you're more accessible to people, when they need a voiceover. So if you are trying to boost your account, one of the first things you need to do is you need to turn your delivery time to 24 hours. Okay. Because, on Fiverr, there's 4 different search. There's 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days, and any time. It defaults to any time, but many people will go to and search for 24-hour delivery. And they'll also search for like online people. Okay. And so a lot of times the people who are online and who can deliver in 24 hours, they will get the bulk of work. So that's what I call being more accessible. So that's one way to change it. Now, again, if you're working a full-time job, that might not be what you can do. And that's okay, though, as well. You just have to factor that in and not beat yourself up by like, something's wrong with me. I suck at this. No one wants to, that's not true. There's so many factors that go in. And by the way, we're just talking about Fiverr, but this also works in a lot of different platforms. Perfect example on a side note, voices.com. Okay. If you've ever tried, so if you are on voices.com and you're doing auditions, you will notice that as soon as an audition comes through, you need to jump on that ASAP and send in the audition as fast as you can. You want to be within the first 5 auditions, the first 5 to 10 auditions. You need to be in there so that you can be listened to, and you can be listened to and taken seriously, because 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 people are not going to be listening to you anymore. All right. But and then what happens is people send these things in and they're like, I'm no good. I can't get any work. It's not you. They're not even hearing you. Or on Fiverr, they're not even seeing you. Right. So there's more to this game, I think, doing voiceovers online and representing yourself like this than just how good you are. Yes, that's a vital part of all of this, of course, but being seen is everything as well. So being accessible on Fiverr is a great way to, get more business off the bat. We've got to talk about pricing. Pricing is another thing that you can slow down your business or raise your business. For better or worse, no matter what Fiverr does. Fiverr's website is a place where people go to get services at a discounted rate. Now, does that mean you can't make a ton of money? Of course you can make a ton of money. Ton of money. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars on that platform. So many other people have made millions of dollars on that platform. You can make a lot of money there. However, it is a discounted platform. So just like places like Walmart or Costco or these different places, it's bulk sales. So the platform is set up for bulk sales. Now, they've spent a lot of money and effort trying to change that. But, what are they going to do? Their name's Fiverr, for goodness sakes. So, people still go there for that. And with that, so what I'm trying to say to you is that being more accessible also means paying attention to your price. And if your price is too high, when I say too high, I'm talking about being accessible to more people. Lower your price if you're trying to boost up your count. See, I don't want to lower my price right now. And so therefore, I'm going to be where I am on Fiverr, and I'm making that decision. People will work with me. Clients will work with me that have worked with me. My account will, as I do work, it will just take me a lot longer to get back to where I was. If I wanted to get there faster, what I'm telling you, these things here, is what will work. Reduce your cost. I'm not saying you got to go down to $5, but reduce your cost, reduce your price. And it's just like, what's interesting about price, I think, just on a side note, and it's just a thought, and we can move on from it though. I don't know any business that doesn't run specials. Do you understand? Like doesn't run discounts, holiday specials, or, percentages off, things. I don't know any other business that doesn't do that. But voiceover, for some reason, a lot of times we're hesitant against that. And I think you can look at your Fiverr pricing in that way too. Instead of looking at it as that's just what you charge, maybe you're offering a discount, right? To generate what? More business. So that's something that I think makes you more accessible to more people on Fiverr by lowering your price if you're trying to get more business. So that's definitely something that you can do as well. Also, take a look at your stats. If you're in the Seller Plus program, there's a lot of good stats there, like what are the top keywords in your genre, what are your percentages, and how do your percentages stack up to everyone else on those particular main keywords. Like, for example, they judge impressions, clicks, orders, and they do them by, like, clicks to impressions, orders to clicks, that kind of thing. And then they garner a percentage out of that. And that percentage also plays a part in how much you're boosted. All right. On a side note, this algorithm, the algorithm's got to be crazy. But so you can figure it out, though, if you're not in the Seller Plus program, by simply getting a calculator, right, and dividing the clicks and impressions and dividing the orders to clicks. Where you want to stay is in between that 2 to 5% range. 2% on the low end, of course, 5% on the high end. You want to stay in there, like the clicks to impressions, orders to clicks. And then you want to make sure, you want to try to get, for every 30 clicks, you get an order. So out of 100, like 100 clicks, you're getting 2 to 5 clicks, 2 to 5%, or 2 to 5 orders, excuse me. So 2 to 5%. And so if you are getting only a couple hundred of impressions, but you're getting 10, 15 impressions, right? If you're getting 10 or 15 clicks for 200 or 300 impressions, you're doing really good. And maybe if you've got 5 or 6 gigs up, you've hit 30 and you've got a job, you are actually on target for doing great on Fiverr. It's just you don't have the impressions to grow more yet, to get more work. So again, nothing is wrong with you and what you're doing, and you can't control anything else other than keep grinding it out. So that's why I do think it's important, even we're talking about Fiverr today, of course, because it's Fiverr Friday, but do not limit yourself to one platform. No matter what, you might generate more income on one platform, and that's not your fault. That's a good, like if one platform just keeps sending you money, it's not like you're like, I'm stopping because I don't want to generate more revenue on this. No, but becoming overly dependent on one platform can be devastating, right? Like I've experienced in my business being very dependent on Fiverr when it comes to voiceover work. It can be devastating if you lose 10, 20, 30, 50% of your business in 1 month or 2 months. That can be devastating. So it's very important for you to have multiple streams of revenue, especially if you're looking to leave your job and go full time at this. Anyways, those are some things that you can do. Like I said, your pricing, your delivery time, those are things you can directly affect. Also, something is start to look at what you are, your 1 to 3 seconds for each of your demos, your first 1 to 3 seconds for each of your demos. What I mean by that is, do you feel that each gig you have up, the first 1 to 3 seconds that someone listens to, sells you the very best that it can? Meaning, like, is it the very best work you have to offer that first 1 to 3 seconds? Of course, the whole thing should be the best, but those 1 to 3 seconds is basically all you get when someone clicks on that little play tab to hear your stuff. So listen to it. I hear a lot of people's best stuff at the end of their demo. No one ever gets there. So we found out recently that a click means when someone clicks through to your gig, not when someone clicks the play button. So what does that mean? That means that your pricing, your thumbnail, and your demo plays a role in people clicking through. It used to be big that it was all your, because I was under the impression originally that it was just your pricing and your thumbnail. Okay, but your pricing and your thumbnail is what gets people to stop and then to listen to your demo. So even though they've got to click on the little play button, they're not going through. Now, some people won't click on that. They'll just click through, but some people will click and listen to your voice. That does not actually count as a click. So it's when people click into your overall gig, right? When it pulls up your whole gig. So that means that those 1 to 3 seconds on all of your demos is so vital to people listening more and then clicking through. So that's another thing. Now, again, that is not something. Now, you can control that, but again, you can't control people clicking, but it is a vital part of it. So those are some things to think about, I think, when you are trying to pull yourself up from, maybe out of the doldrums or trying to grow. But whatever you do, just realize there's only so much you can do, right? You can't do more than those things. Title and tags, that does help when it comes to trying to generate more traffic. Title and tags, look at your tags. Are they all up? First off, I work with so many people where all their tags aren't even showing because Fiverr has ruled them redundant and they don't show them all. The only way you can see that is by having two windows open. One, with the tags like all the way down on your gig on the bottom, seeing the tags are showing. And if they're not, you got to put a new tag in on another screen, refresh, and then refresh the other screen to see if it shows up. That's the only way I know how to do it right now, because you can't see it both ways. I mean, you could probably save and preview actually, and then scroll down. That would work. You could do that too. But either way, you got to save it and then go look. So, all right, listen, I've been talking a lot for like 30 minutes straight. So make sure you put your name, where you're from in the chat. And ask me some questions about Fiverr. Any questions that you have, any questions you have about voiceover, any questions you have about A VO's Journey Elite Academy. We've been doing some incredible things. We just posted another audiobook today because we have a production company that we just use people from the academy to do audiobook work, and we're releasing a video for the conference where we use 23 voice actors from A VO's Journey Elite Academy, and we are paying them, so that's cool. I mean, it's not a great deal, but each one of them are getting paid, so that's cool. So lots of fun. So check out that link below, or if you're interested, you can always ask a question here. All right, let's start going through this. Daniel, what is up? It is good to have you, and welcome to the academy as well. So Daniel, it's good to have you from Morrison, Colorado. It's good, it's great, man. Let's see, Jay, hey Anthony, I am tuning in from Fordham University in NYC, New York City. Good to have you, Jay. Let's see, Eric, what's up, Eric? Hey Anthony, I kind of missed the Fiverr Friday tape. I know, Eric from Nebraska. I know, I really don't know where it went. I really don't. I've looked everywhere for it. I must have just maybe, I don't know what I did with it. It just didn't make the move. Voiceover Angela. Hello, Angela. From Happy Fiverr Friday. It's good to have you, Angela. Let's see. Danielle, TGIF. Gorgeous weather in Philly today. Awesome. That is awesome. It is hot here in Virginia. I tell you what. Cami, happy Friday. Good to have you, Cami. Welcome. Voiceover Angela says, customer satisfaction also plays a role in being selected for TRS. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Also your average selling price plays a role in being a top-rated seller. But here's the rub. To get to that place, you've got to do what you got to do. I'll never forget when I got to level 2 and then I reached the requirements like $20,000, etc., that you have to reach in order to become a top-rated seller. You, by the way, on a side note, I mean, that's making $20,000 on a platform, if you think about it, that's a lot of money. Right. So, I mean, all the top rated sellers and a lot of it, and people that not necessarily all top rated sellers, but all the top rated sellers, and then some who are level 2s and stuff, have made at least $20,000 on that platform. I still find that pretty amazing. But anyways, I remember I was charging $5 for 150 words for like a couple of years. And then when I got to level 2 and then I reached that $20,000 mark, I started working with, at the time, it was the Seller Plus program wasn't actually a subscription. The only way you could get into it was they reached out to you. You couldn't even email them. It was a very kind of, it was started for the pros on Fiverr, the Fiverr Pro, and then they extended it to try to help more people. And then down the road, in the last year or two, they've added the membership. But anyways, the coach at the time was like, you got to raise your rates. I mean, you got to raise your rates in order to get to the average selling price that people are going to want you to have. At the time, this was years ago, it was an average selling price between $55 and $60. That's what they wanted to see you at to be a top rated seller. And a lot of us are at like $20, $30. So that's just something to think about. All right, Silver Sponge, what's up? I almost never catch these live streams. Just got in and glad to make it. It is great to have you. Great to have you, Silver Sponge. Ruthie, hi Ruthie, from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I love that name, Chattanooga. I do. I love Chattanooga. I've been all throughout Tennessee. It's a beautiful state. Let's see. LinkedIn user, hey Anthony, do you have a Twitch account? That is a really good question. I do not have of all the things that I do through our Discord and my social media as well as TikTok, I do not have a Twitch account. And it's interesting because I could actually go live on Twitch with the Restream app, because what I do to go live is I go live on YouTube, I go live on Twitter, I go live on LinkedIn, and I go live in YouTube, right? And Facebook, excuse me. So I could also, they also have Twitch. I could go live in Twitch. I've just never set anything up before in Twitch. So so I don't know if it's something I should do. I don't know how many voice actors are hanging out on Twitch. I'm not sure. I'm sure a bunch. I've always looked at Twitch as for gaming, but I've never gotten into Twitch. Let's see. Steve, hello from Houston. Hey, Steve, it's good to hear from you, man. Jeremy Jones. Hi, Jeremy. How you doing, my friend? Danny, what's up, Danny? From San Diego. We got a meeting today, don't we, Danny? Are we meeting today? I think no, we're not meeting today. Are we meeting today? No, I'm meeting someone else. We're supposed to meet. But anyways, good to see you, Danny. Let's see. Love, live, rejoice. Joni from San Francisco. Hi. And a hello for voiceover Angela. Absolutely. Love, live, rejoice. I watch you as well. Sorry, goofy keyboard issues. Angela says hello. Scott says, good afternoon from Colorado Springs. Hey, Scott. Good to have you, buddy. Hello, Mr. Anthony. Tommy here. Hey, Tommy. Wish I had caught this from the top. I feel like I don't know how to get impressions. I share my gigs and profile and such, but it seems like I get lucky to top out at around 100 impressions, 9 clicks. I'd love to know how to pump myself out they're stronger. So I think, as I was talking about earlier, there are some things, and I don't know what, how your account is, like, your delivery time. Are you doing 24-hour delivery? What is your pricing? And is all of your stuff filled out? Do you have all 7 gigs up? You know what I mean? Are you doing whatever you can, even though there's not very many of them? But are you going on to buyer request? People get work through buyer request. Even if it's somebody who's asking for a different language, you can still send a request saying, hey, I know I'm not, a Chinese, I know they're looking for a Chinese female. Say, I know I'm not a Chinese female. However, if you ever need an American male voiceover, please let me know, because those people might have friends. They might need one next week. Okay, these are people actively looking for voiceover artists. So just because they're not looking for you at that moment doesn't mean you can't send them something. And I've had a lot of people who do this, and people will come back and say, hey, I was going to hire this person, but we listened to your stuff and really liked it, and this was going from male to female or female to male or whatever. I mean, you can, do whatever you can to get it. So Tommy, without any more knowledge, I'd say those things right there should be where you want to start. And, if you're now, by the way, 100 impressions, 9 clicks, you're not going to get much work there. But if you have 7 gigs up and each one of them has 100 impressions and 9 clicks, right, then that's 700 impressions. That's what, 63 clicks. You will start getting work. So I don't know how many gigs you have up, Tommy, but that could be something to start with. Let's see. Voice the Things. Ahoy from Olympia, Washington. Hey, on the other side of the country. Good to have you. Is anybody from Alaska here? I was going to think about, or Hawaii. I know. Where's Cancun Andy? Maybe Cancun Andy was popping, but Olympia, Washington, that's far away from here. How's the weather up in Olympia? Let's see. Randall. What's up, Randall? From Tacoma. Awesome. Good to know about clicks. Time to update demos. Yeah, absolutely. Scott, are there any slots left to audition for the conference video? Sorry, Scott. All of the conference video has already been done. It's almost finished. I actually had to submit mine today, and it's being rendered. So no, there's no more spots. But we are going to be having some more voiceovers available, especially because I'm going to be getting some voice actors to do some work on my podcast, to do some commercials. I'm going to be paying people to do some commercials on my podcast and so forth from the Academy. So pay attention to that because that'll be coming up soon. Let's see. Ruthie, my account on Fiverr seems to be suspended. How do I know how to fix it? Well, if it's suspended, you got to contact customer support, right? You got to contact customer support and see what's going on with the account, and they'll let you know. Now, worst case scenario, if they let you know, hey, this is, if it's suspended or they've kicked you off or something, then, we've had a lot of people who've had to open new accounts under new names. That's a thing, but only if they don't, So now unfortunately, we've had some people who Fiverr's dragged on their suspension for a long time. So you've got to contact them, contact Fiverr and see what's going on. Let's see. Facebook user Max here from Spain. Awesome. You might be the first person we've had from Spain. Where in Spain are you from, Max? Not that I will know, other than like Madrid or something that I'm not. Spain is a country that is always, like, to me, from the pictures and everything seeing, it seems so beautiful. I've never really done any more research or anything on Spain, so I would love to go though. It's all the pictures I've seen have been gorgeous. But where are you from in Spain, Max? Let's see. I've missed the beginning. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I know we missed the beginning, but that's okay. If you got any questions or anything like that, go ahead and post them in the chat. Let's see. Please share more of your optimism toward publishing audiobooks on private VO websites. The stupendous Chumley. Now you said, okay, please share more optimism toward publishing audiobooks on private VO websites. Not sure what you mean by, are you saying like, what do my, like, share my own optimism about it? Like, I feel like it's a good, like, what do you, I'm sorry, I'm confused about what you're asking me to do. I do think that, like, what we're doing, right, in a VO's journey is part of, we started our own audiobook production company, and the idea is to take a lot more control over, audiobook production, who, like, how much people are getting paid as opposed to not. I mean, right now we're just starting off, so a lot of work we're doing is just trying to get us up and running. But I do think that as voice actors, we have so much more power, right, to control our work than we think. Okay, meaning, like, when there's public domain books, there's ghostwriters, there's a lot of websites out there. People don't know this, and I wish I had the names off the top of my head, but there was a period of time where I was looking into, again, I've always been interested in this idea of us as voiceover artists owning the rights to these assets, because a book, it's an asset, right? Our voiceover is an asset. We often sell our voiceovers in perpetuity, especially if you're on Fiverr. So it's not really an asset. It's just more of a product, because it goes out, it's gone. We sell the rights to it. But, like books, these are like, intellectual property. And, I love the idea of owning that intellectual property, because then I own it. And, I get to control where that money goes. Like your masters, if you were, in music, right? Like, do you control your masters, or does, a record label, who controls the rights to the intellectual property? So I think as voiceover artists, that's something that we can really benefit from, especially because we might not always, be able to do voiceovers, or like me, maybe your Fiverr account dips. You don't have that steady stream of revenue. It can happen at any time. So I like the idea of this. So I think as a voice actor, it's a good idea to look. And what I was saying about websites is there's even websites out there where people have written books and they're looking to sell the rights to the books. or they've written part of the book, or and they're looking for someone to uh, buy that from them. There's all kinds of stuff you can do out there to get intellectual property for you to own without you having to actually write it, and then you can narrate it, or you could even pay a narrator. Like what we do in the academy is we like to do a lot of public domain books, right? And then have our voice actors do it, right? And then the academy, then the academy has the rights to it, but we can then control where that money goes and where we earn from to give back to the voice actors in the academy. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to be able to control more of it. And as a voiceover artist, you can actually sell them yourself, right? Remember these are products. And if you control that intellectual property, you can do a lot. Okay. So I don't know, Stupendous Chumley, if that's what you were talking about, but I do feel very strongly about it, and I'm very excited about our audiobook production company as well, and Avio's Journey Elite Academy. Let's see. Facebook user says, I think my profile is strong. My demos, meh. But I know that they aren't hearing my demos if they're not seeing my gigs, impressions. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I was saying early on when I first started is, there's only so much you can actually control on Fiverr for people to see you, right? And of course your title, tags, that is the biggest thing that you actually have control over. Later on, when you start getting work, then you do have control over when you turn in the work. But you don't have control over whether the client is going to be a good client or bad client, or whether they're going to give you a good review. You have no control over that. So the only thing that you can control are those things, and at least try to do your best. And I found that, if you're on time with things and, you're doing your best, you're still going to have unruly people, but you generally do very well. It's when you start getting a lot of business and then, you fall behind, or you can't turn in something on time, or someone gives you a bad review or something like that. That stuff can pile up, and then your percentages go down, like your delivery rate, your response rate, this kind of stuff on your on time. Like if it goes down even a couple points, even if it's still above the 90 percentile range for not getting reduced, right? In your ranking, you'll still go down in impressions. So that's just something to think about. But when you're just first starting out, it's the only thing you can control. And that's why I'm a big advocate for putting up more than one gig. You got to, at least when you're first starting out, you got to get more stuff up, or people are just simply not going to see you. And the more people that join Fiverr, the harder it is. So the more you need to put up. Okay, let's see. I'm here in Ely, Nevada. I think it's Eli. Is it Eli or Ellie? Nevada, loneliest sound booth in America. It sounds kind of like a song, doesn't it? Loneliest sound booth in America. It could be a song. You could write it. I'd listen to it. If you write it, I'll play it on my channel. Let's see. Dennis from Philly. What's up, Dennis? Hey, we got another person from Philly, didn't we? Or is it? Yeah, we had another person up here from Philly. Who was? Someone else said it's beautiful weather in Philly today. That was Danielle. Danielle and Dennis from Philly. Okay, let's see. We have sorry for the missing words, says Tim. Sorry, voiceover Angela. I lived in Spain for a year in Valencia. Did you really? I didn't know that. I want to retire there. Love it. That is so cool. I didn't know you lived in Spain. Let's see. Mattias. My other question is where I can find audiobooks to audition in Spanish other than ACX. So this is, you're not the first person. I get this question often. And honestly, there's not a lot of places right now that you can go for books in Spanish. At least, that is mainstream enough, to warrant us being able to make money off of it. So to me, that's like a major gap in the industry that I think is, would be a great time for someone to step up. And I've talked about that in the academy somewhat with our team a little bit about, Spanish speaking audiobooks. It would be great to have them, but there's a lot, but the problem is I don't speak Spanish, so I need someone, who can help with that. So that's the only issue. And I think that's probably a lot of issues that people have, because then they don't know how to hire for it. You know what I mean? And so if they don't speak English. But anyways, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that answer. I don't have that answer. I do apologize, but I think that's it, because I think there's a gap in the market for it. Annie from Ottawa, by the way. Cool. Ottawa. There you go. Isn't that from Canada? If I totally have to have it, it's Canada, right? Mike says, "Hi, Anthony. Greetings from Brazil." Awesome. From Brazil. This is a generous question about auditioning on pay-to-plays. On average, how many auditions should you do before winning a job? Can it feel like a thankless task? Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what I was talking about earlier, right, is so if you're doing everything right, meaning like you are, so what I said earlier was trying to get into that first 5 to 10 auditions submitted is really important. Okay? Because, if you get into the 15, 20, 25 mark, you're just, the likelihood you're going to be heard, and then the likelihood you're not going to be starting to be compared to the first people that submitted is next to none. So the first thing you really want to do is you want to make sure to up your chances is to get into that 5, 10, but see, that means so if you've tried this, what this literally means is that when that is posted, so like I've literally sat on voices.com and I've refreshed the screen because I try this stuff out sometimes, right? Or wait for the email. So as soon as you get an email or you refresh the screen and that thing pops up and it's at 0. So if you were that fast, when it pops up, the first thing it's pushed is within seconds, there's 5, 4, 5, 10. So you literally have to be in sec, which means you've got to be at your place ready to record. All right, immediately, and to send it off. So that in itself makes it difficult. It's a lot like Voice Bunny in that sense, right? Or Bunny Studios is really big on how fast you can click on the button, how fast you can get your stuff in, right? I mean, that's the same thing with Bunny Studios. That's, and it's funny because people complain about that on Fiverr. I get it, but these places you got to be super fast. So that'll help you, at least if you can get a better percentage, I think, win, at least listen ratio. Because remember, all things being equal, if you needed to get, let's say you needed to do 100 auditions. So let's compare this to what I was talking about with Fiverr, with impressions, clicks, and orders. Okay. So if we know that most likely someone is probably going to have listened to your demo before they click on you. That's the reality. And by the way, this wasn't always knowledge to me. Like, this is really recently because I was digging and doing some research and bugging Fiverr, because I always wondered, does the click count if they listen to you, or does it count only if they go in? And I just recently again got confirmed that they could listen to your demo before they click on you, which makes your demo even that much more important for the general click, which we didn't used to consider it to be that important for the general click, but it is. So if we take those percentages and then we move them over to voiceover, I think like voices.com or something with auditions. So you got to think, if we know in general, we're looking between like a 2 to 4% ratio over how many people listen to your work to order you, right? So you would then say, for every 100 auditions that are actually listened to, this is important because you might do 300 or 400 auditions and only 100 are listened to. Okay, but that are actually listened to, you should expect 2-3 jobs from that. All right, so that's a lot, and that's why I struggle sometimes with telling people go out and audition on sites like that, just because it gets difficult at first because it's such an uphill battle. But here's the thing. What happens though on that platform, just like Fiverr. So here's a perfect example of that on Fiverr for me, right? I told everybody, my accounts, been struggling recently, but I still made a couple $1,000s this month. How did I still make a couple $1,000s this month when I had some days that had 0 clicks? Because over the years, I've built clients that come back to me no matter what, whether they have me saved and they just order from me. So the same thing happens on voices.com or any of these other sites. The first part of it is like trying to push a train up a hill. It's going to be long. It's going to be hard. It's going to be arduous. It's going to take so much energy and time. But over time, you're going to build one client, repeat client, 2 repeat clients, 3 repeat clients, et cetera, right? So that then changes over time. So you begin to get booked. Same thing on Bunny Studios. Same thing on Voice Realm. Like on Voice Realm now, I literally, on Voice Realm, I get booked on that site without auditioning. I got a job yesterday on that site without auditioning, and I had a job a couple days before on that site without auditioning. I've noticed that voiceover work on other websites and Voice Jungle seem to be picking up. So I don't know. A lot of people are fed up with Fiverr either. That could be something too with some of that downfall. But I know that it seems like voiceovers are picking up on other places. But anyways, you build up over time. So the first part you got to expect it's going to take you a lot. Now, when does it get to the point where you're like, okay, it's something I'm doing? I need to get better. Well, I do think if you're not following that ratio of like between 2 to 5% of orders to listens, if you will. Okay. Now but this is the hard part, right? Because you can kind of judge it that way, but in Fiverr, right, a click is under the assumption that they might have already listened to you, which means they've decided they liked you. So you could even take it a step further and say you're shortlisted. So if you took it a step further and said you're shortlisted, what's that percentage of how many times you need to be shortlisted in order for you to get a job? So if it was shortlisted and you did a 2 to 4% in shortlisted, so that means for every 100 shortlisted auditions you do, you're going to get 2 to 4 jobs. So then that gives you an idea then of, are you getting shortlisted? But then are you being fast enough? It can be exhausting. So that's why I like to always make sure that the first thing I do and the first thing I coach people when they work with me in the mentor program or in the academy is that we're working on getting you up on freelance platforms, places where you can generate business without you having to audition. Right? It's really important, I think. It's a good question, and like you said, I could talk all day about it. But you've got. I view myself as very creative, but then I love the analytical side of things. The data, because I do think the data tells a story, and it's probably the teacher that beaten into me, driven by data, that will help you at least understand. Okay, is it me, or is it that I'm just not being seen enough or listened to enough? And I think a lot of times it's the latter. All right, Penelope. What's up, Penelope? Hi, Anthony. Quick question. Do clients typically look up Google Voice over Artist? Look up Google Voice over Artist outside of a VO's website. For example, how do I respond to a client that sees that I charge low rates on Fiverr? Wonderful question. Here's the answer. Be like Apple, and you charge the same no matter where you are. But here's a little trick. What I do is I make sure, so on Fiverr, I have a base rate, and then I have commercial and broadcast rights and all this other stuff, right? So when I submit an offer to somebody, I always submit on Fiverr. I submit an offer with my base rate and commercial and broadcast rights included, because 90% of the time, that's what they need to have. So on my website, I make sure that all of that is already included into the price. So like, for example, if you charge $5, for 100 words, and then you charge $10 for commercial rights and $15 for broadcast rights, if you add the $15 and the $10 together, that's $25, and then the $5 together is $30. So now, your first 100 words is $30, right? Your next 100 words, okay, is going to be $60. et cetera, et cetera. And again, I've talked about this on Fiverr, how that's a misnomer, that you're only supposed to charge those rights once. Those rights are supposed to be charged with every increasing set of words, meaning like, the first set, if you charge $20 for commercial rights at 100 words, great, then that's $20. But at 200 words, you should charge $40. At 300 words, it should be $60. But people aren't doing that. So they're just doing a one-time, one small fee for perpetual use. I'm trying to educate people to do that. And that's how I've made a lot more money on Fiverr than others, because I charge, I think, the correct way. But Fiverr's done a poor job of explaining that. So in your particular case, all right, that will help you at least justify. And if people ask you, say, yes, no, it's the same pricing. This is just included. I just include this here. They just show the base price. But I always make sure, though, it's the same. I don't charge differently anywhere I go. And I will say this, and this is to everybody. If you feel so uncomfortable about it, you need to reevaluate how much you're charging on Fiverr. Charge more. Remember, I started off this session today talking about what do you do in order to get more work? What are some of the things that are possible? But you don't have to start you could start however way you want to. But I do think the tips I gave you here will help you a lot, okay, on justifying charges and costs in other places. Let's see. Annie says, Mike, I read between 50 and 200 auditions in standard before booking a first job. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're talking to Mike about that. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that. Well, it's interesting. Was that between 50 and 200 auditions? Were those auditions that were listened to? Were those auditions that were just were shortlisted? How many of those were shortlisted? It'd be interesting to see. Now, when I interviewed David Cicerelli, right, the CEO of Voices, he said that 7 auditions a day, people on average were making $20,000 more a year with 7 auditions a day at least. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to do 7 auditions a day, but you've got to be active. And I have to say, auditions, because majority of them come through the working hours. And that's very difficult for someone who is working a full-time job. So when I was working a full-time job, I had to take a different approach to my marketing. That's why I focused heavily on audiobooks when I was working a full-time job, because I had more leeway with audiobooks when it came to delivery time. I didn't need to respond, like I didn't need to deliver it in 15 minutes. There was a lot more leeway, and I still made a good chunk of money. Okay, and I had more time to record. So, if you're working a full-time job and you can't start working until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about really doesn't apply to you, because you're not going to be able to answer questions, go full, so that's why I did a lot with audiobooks until I built my business bigger to where I could do more during the day. And then I'll be honest with you, straight up honest, I knew at a certain point with the money that I was starting to make through audiobooks that I was going full time. I'm not telling anybody to do this, but I'm just telling you what I did. I literally kind of threw out the no cell phone policy at my job, and I was using my cell phone to answer Fiverr. I was just doing what I had to do, and I left and I quit my job. I'm not telling anyone else to do that. I'm just saying that's what I did. Okay, because that's like I burnt the bridges. I burnt the bridge. I burnt the boats. I wasn't going back. Mattias, I can help. Okay. Gotta run. Have a great day, everyone. Good to see you, Angela. Let's see. Good afternoon from VO Forever Young in South Dakota. I know you. Bill says, hey, AP, thanks for all you do. By the way, thank you, Bill. By the way, any updates on LinkedIn's efforts to leverage freelance and gigs? That's a good point, Bill. I mean, they've fallen out of any sort of effort to publicize going after it. I think I got very frustrated with them because of all the offers they had up there. They didn't have voiceover. So that was kind of defeating. I do get notifications that there are places that do post jobs looking for voiceovers, but I mean, I haven't seen, But at the same time, it is interesting. You had a lot of these people. Well, even think about voices.com, Upwork, all of these places went after, they went from the voiceover side, went into the gigs, right? Went into offering gigs, went into offering these, single offers like Fiverr. And I think it has taken a chunk out of Fiverr's business in some senses. And then LinkedIn rolled around. So, Fiverr is the competitor that everyone's going after. So they might have lost some market share, but I haven't heard much from from LinkedIn in that sense. Sadly, I think it would have been nice. Let's see. Someone says, later, Angela. Mike says, thanks for the advice. It's really useful to know. While I don't often get my auditions in within minutes, I do try to get them in within the first hour or two, yet still some are not even listened to. I know. And again, that's hard, especially the higher paying ones, right? Like the higher paying ones. I mean, it's, but you know what I mean? I would love for someone to, I would love to see someone doing some stats on that. Like, again, if I had more time, I'm saying right now, all my time goes to the academy. But if I had other time, to do like a test, because I love testing these things, it would be nice for someone to do like a month or 2 months or something. And taking these 7 a day and seeing, out of how many times I've been shortlisted. Because if you've been shortlisted or listened to, like how many times I was listened to, how many times I was shortlisted, and then from there, how many orders I got, and start to do some some averages to see, what was a good rule of thumb. That would be nice. But see, I know some people who get a lot of work on voices, and then some people, I know a lot, but I know even more people who get no work on that platform. So that's the difference with Fiverr. I know very few people who get no work on Fiverr or haven't gotten any jobs. So that's quite a difference, right? Mike says, thanks, Annie. That's good to know. Annie says, yes, it's frustrating when we work hard on auditions that don't even get listened to. Absolutely. Incidentally, I primarily use Mandy and Bidalgo for pay to play. Cool. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and also check out the link below for VO's Journey Elite Academy. It would be an honor to have you there. Would absolutely love it. And we've got so much happening. Actually, I was working on today our new contest that we put out. We do monthly contests. And today, this month's contest is we've got a documentary, and you're supposed to do your best Sir David Attenborough voiceover style. So it's a lot of fun to do that. But it's great to see you guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Labor Day weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.